I mean, Clubbed is set in a very specific sort of time, in a very specific sort of place in the UK in the early 80s when there was kind of recessionary times and, you know, life was tough. And nightclubs in those days were starting to become sort of quite blingy and full of mirrors. You know, prior to that, there'd been these black spaces where your feet stick to the floor and were a bit horrible, and they'd started to spend money. In the evolution of nightclubs, so to speak, the early 80s was a sort of key time when clubs became these fantastic fantasy places where you could escape your worries for a few hours and kind of dance the night away to American soul music.
In the early 80s, I met Louis, head doorman of the biggest club in town.
You want a tombo? Yeah, that's what I thought.
He ran the door with his team. Rob, who had a high moral code for a bouncer.
How much?
What do you think my name is, Sparky?
And then there was Sparky. These guys were family and the club was their home.
A lot of comparisons have been drawn by other people about the similarity between the nightclub and the church, for instance. Nightclubs are, or were, maybe not so much now, but were modern churches, really, were places to gather and worship, which is the dance and to listen to the music. In a way, the DJ is the priest.
What do you reckon them girls, eh? Daddy's going to be a bouncer. Fucking have that. Finish your drinks off. Yeah, you. Headbutt.
In any kind of medium-like movie, which is a sort of mass cultural medium that goes out to quite a lot of people in a kind of industrial scale, of course, you know, we have huge responsibility to sort of entertain, but also to teach and educate and even change people's lives. In the case of Clubbed, Jeff's book is, I would say, much more violent. So in a way, we've kind of tempered it for the film, some of it. And some of those things that happened in, you know, they're all based on truthful incidents, but quite often the truthful incident was a lot more extreme than the way we've portrayed it in the film. But I think it's one of the things we wanted to capture and that Jeff was quite keen on, and so was I, was to make the sort of violence in the film quite sudden and quite random and quite kind of not shocking, but I mean, because it quite often is like that, you know. I mean, a lot of cartoon violence that you get in Hollywood films where people fight for 15 minutes throwing each other around and breaking the furniture. Isn't how it is, you know. It's very quick and it's very nasty. So we wanted to capture that kind of authenticity and the kind of truth of those sort of situations, to be truthful to the story and the film and the characters, really.
My wife hated me and my kids didn't have a real dad.
We'll never get a home. Dad's weak, innit?
No one they could respect.
You want to have a look?
What's happened? A man at Club did it.
The boys took me in and gave me back some spine.
Jeff's kind of message, if you like, is very much an anti-violent one. I mean, he goes around the country all the time talking about this, and his books and his self-help books very much go into this, that, you know, violence doesn't get anyone anywhere and is not a way of solving anything, and violence does usually lead to more violence, and that's one of the messages in the film, really, and that's what the lead character finds out, and that's why he becomes a writer, to try and sort of spread that message. But the fact is that, you know, young men in our inner cities, you know, do fight about turf and to prove themselves, and that's been the same since time immemorial, and I don't think it's ever going to go away. In certain working class areas, it's a rite of passage. You know, no matter how much people tell you you're cannon fodder and you can't achieve anything and you're downtrodden and you're never going to get anywhere, you know, by hard work and dedication and training, and you know, that can be your mind or your body, you can turn anything around, and anyone can do that.
He's been texting my lads again. I've got no control over what Rob does. You don't have the chat with him. I'll have the chat with him.
I'm not responsible enough.
They're my kids.
I can stop you seeing them any time I want.
I need you to pack a bag of...
That was something we thought about a lot and have kind of tried to sort of thread through the film, the kind of, you know, the vastly important role of women, not only in the early 80s, but like you say, you know, in society, and what men do to try and prove themselves, and how that affects the women folk from little girls to your grandmother. Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't write, the demons come back, so you know, it's a way of keeping them at bay, really. And obviously, as filmmakers, we have to, capture that and try and remain true and authentic to that kind of voice and put that on screen. So when you're dealing with someone's life, it makes it a lot harder, whether if it was a completely fictional script. There isn't quite that kind of pressure of, right, how shall we slant this, because you want to remain as truthful as possible, but then it's also my job to make an entertaining piece of cinema that people will want to go and see. So you're always walking that fine line, absolutely. Yeah, no, you have to think about that a lot.
I need you to pack a bag of... Rob?